We've been gradually transplanting tomato plants into one bed of the polytunnel. We are trying to get them into the ground before the transplants are too big and stressed, but also waiting to be able to harvest as much as we can from the previous spring crops. Some of these earlier crops, such as radish, rocket, and pak choi, were finished and cleared over the last few weeks, and the tomato plants were transplanted into those open sections of the bed rather than being potted up into larger pots. The last of the Japanese turnip and beetroot in this bed were pulled up today, with a really good harvest of nice-sized roots. The tomato plants that were transplanted into these newly cleared sections of the bed were only potted up into larger pots last week, so the root balls hadn't filled out yet. These plants might have survived in the smaller pots until now, but I wasn't sure when the bed would be cleared, so doing the work last week to pot them up made sense, rather than risk stressing the plants. There is still some kohlrabi to harvest, and the tomatoes will probably be transplanted into that section of the bed early next week. At the end of the bed, there are some green or spring onions and garlic greens, which are only just starting to get to harvestable size. The tomato plants for that section will have to wait another week or two, and will likely be fine continuing to grow in the larger pots until the space is available. That leaves a patch of carrots in the middle of the bed that are going to need quite a bit more time before they're large enough to produce a reasonable yield. So we decided to put the tomatoes waiting for that section of the bed into larger grow bags. This will give the plant roots plenty of space to grow, and when the carrots are finally harvested, we are planning to partially bury the bottom of the grow bag into the bed, rather than transplanting the much larger root ball. The roots of these plants will be able to grow through the holes in the bottom of the bag to colonize the soil below. It will be interesting to see how well these plants do in comparison to their neighbors that were transplanted earlier directly into the soil. Hopefully this extra work will mean that we can harvest a decent crop of spring carrots, as well as getting an abundance of tomatoes.